let's talk Ben Askren. All right. Now, I'm seeing different reports out there on Ben, and many of you are sharing and spreading different pieces of information on Ben. You're not wrong to do that. That's very cool that you're concerned and that you care. I'm just sharing with you that the accurate information is largely not out there. And that was the family's choice. It was 3 to 4 days where Ben was in the hospital before anybody even knew Ben was in the hospital. The family was just not looking for attention, and when the word got out, they're still playing it pretty close to the vest. My point being, if you've shared misinformation or if you've been given misinformation, it's not your fault. There's a chance that I'm about to do it right now thinking that I have the right info. But the story basically goes like this. Ben was in Las Vegas, and he was doing something with cryptocurrency. I don't know if it was specifically Bitcoin, but some level of cryptocurrency. In fact, Chris Cyborg, just to name drop, was at the same event that Ben was, and Chris said that Ben was 100%. And he hadn't been feeling well for a few days. A few days go by, at which point in the story he checks himself into the ER. And he doesn't fully know what to tell the ER other than I'm not feeling very well. But as soon as they got a hold of him and they start the diagnostics, they find that his body is full of staph. And I've dealt with staph my whole life, as Ben has as a wrestler. I mean, it grows in wrestling rooms, and it's one of these things that never leaves your body. It stays with you. You can cure it so there's not an outbreak, but that staph stays with you. But somewhere along the way of me reading reports on this, me calling and getting information, pneumonia came up. And that was not part of the original cause as it was explained to me. So now we're dealing staph and pneumonia. And sepsis? I always get this one wrong. He's septic. He has sepsis. Am I saying that correctly? And I just had a friend, matchmaker, the great Heather Standing, that went in on sepsis with staph and didn't come out. So from my perspective, these are pretty big words. And one thing the family really wanted to do was to get Ben, like this was priority number one. They wanted to get Ben from Nevada, where he was, to Wisconsin. Just geographically speaking, if this is to be the end, they wanted it in Wisconsin. So at some point in this story, we all find out that Ben needs a lung transplant. There was a hole in his lung. And to the information that I've been given, we don't have an answer as to how, or a guess as to even why, was there a hole in his lung. But while the family is working on that, they were able to get Ben from Nevada to Wisconsin. So there is currently reports going around that Ben is at home, which is kind of like, whew, sigh of relief. Okay, great sign. It looked like it could be the end, and this septic business and this pneumonia business and the hole in the lung, but he's home. Well, just to explain, what was meant by home is he's no longer in the care of a facility in Nevada. He is in the care of a facility in Wisconsin. And I take the time to illustrate that point. I was able to speak to the lovely Amy, Ben's wife, one time. And she did make it clear in this one time that we talked that there wasn't going to be a lot of talking, but what was really hoped for was prayers and thoughts. And I only say this to you if Ben was at home and he was recovering and he's got his feet up and he's watching TV as, the IVs dripping and the medical, like if you have that image, then you might not be as inclined to give the prayers and thoughts. So I wanted to explain. It seemed important to me. It was important to me to clarify, to my understanding of the story, Ben being home just means in his home state. It means he's in Wisconsin. He does still very much need those prayers and thoughts.